Hello and welcome. My name is Naiditsch, and today we are going to take a very close look at the London Chess Classics, a super tournament hosted yearly for a very long time. As well, this year we have a mix of super grandmasters and the local GMs, so a very interesting setup. So far 7 rounds has been played, so let's check round by round and let's see how the tournament been actually developing. So very exciting tournament, because you have not only the super GMs but as well the local GMs, so it makes it very interesting. Before we start, let me make a short recheck if everything is okay, that we are live. Yes, we are, I think. Let's check just a second, please, to be sure that we're good. And then, yes, then we basically start. So I think we are fine. So let's go. So we start with the game round one between McShane and Adams. McShane, at some point he was 2700 as well, very strong, but then he switched to a normal job. That's why we see his rating now with 2615. Still very strong player, and of course Mickey Adams does not need any introduction. Mickey Adams, probably the strongest UK GM in the history. For a very long time he was in the top 10 of the world. Now slowly Mick Adams is getting older, so not so easy. Still, he is of course remaining very strong with 2635, but at his best he was I think 2750. So of course yeah. So let's check what happened in this game. The result we already know. It is a draw. So let's see how we got there. So we have the Spanish with a a6, so no Berlin, knight f6, also very popular. We have the Spanish with a move a6, bishop a4, all is very normal, and we have the move bishop takes c6, which is possible to be played. Obviously the main move is the move rook to e1, but McShane decides not to go for the rook e1 but for the bishop c6 line. Personally, I believe that after bishop takes f6, c6 position is approximately equal, but it is a long game. So we have the move d3, knight to d7, knight to d2, all is normal, short castle, knight c4, so white is getting this beautiful knight on c4. The pawn on e5 is under attack, so black has to defend it. Usually we see the move f6, very normal. It looks a bit strange, but it is normal. Also rook e8, knight f8, and knight e6 is something very normal that we can expect next. So we have the move knight to e3 and knight to c5 now. Yeah, that's a shortcut, so we don't need the move rook to e8. The knight goes straight to e6 and d4 eventually. And we have the move knight to f5, all is very normal. Bishop d6 as well, very solid play. Another option is to take on f5. Personally, I believe this is approximately an equal position, also can be played, but the problem is that white is gonna play rook to e1, and then white wants to get knight over d2 to e4, so to block everything. And then slowly white is going to develop some active play on the king side. So this is sort of the idea of white. Black is having this bishop on e7, which is not perfect. So I believe it is not everybody's type of position. So we have bishop d6 played by Mickey Adams, completely normal. Rook e1, rook e8, all is completely okay. Bishop e3, white is finishing the development. Bishop on f8 and queen on e2. Queen e2 is unusual because white is not trying usually to get the queen on e2. What's next? The idea of d4 is usually the wrong idea for white. So with white we don't try to put the queen on e2. More typical in these positions is something like h3 followed by knight h2, so we get the queen to f3 eventually. This is usually what's happening. Now we have queen on e2. I'm not a fan of that, and d4. I don't like this move at all. So this is not the idea of white. I don't know why McShane is trying to move to the move d4, but I think it is a wrong idea. And what we see now after the exchanges, that black is having bishop pair, and of course in the long run bishop pair is very, very good, because black is going to advance the pawn slowly. Personally, I believe these positions are better for black. So queen e3, queen e7, and h4, c5, and h6. Careful move, all right. Knight on h2 and queen f7. So we can see that black is doing very solid here on the king side, and we can expect something like b5 to be played next. We have the move queen on g3, rook d8, knight on f1. No idea where the white knight is going, eventually e3, but does it help? And we have the move king h7. Well, it's not a bad move, of course, king to h7, but why not to start moving the pawns like b5, for example? The threat is to go b4, and I believe there are no threats to defend from, so why not to play the move b5? King h7, a little bit too careful in my opinion, so I have the move b3, and the move c4 also looks normal, but once again, why not to play first the move b5? So c4, knight on e3, black takes on b3, and bishop c5. Strange move, bishop c5, because the idea for black is not to try to equalize here. I think black can just aim for a long game with a bishop pair. So for example, we can play some solid continuations like bishop c8, which is looking very logical. So we want to take the pawn on e4, and simultaneously there is b5 followed by c5. So we have to advance the pawns. To my understanding, this position is just better for black. I think white has to fight very hard to equalize here. So bishop c5, a little bit strange to me. Queen f3, c6, and h5. Slow play continues. Bishop d4. I don't like. This is a play for equality, but I think black is capable of doing more in this situation. So just keep the bishop pair. Just play a long game, and usually there might be some chances to even fight for a win here with black. At least there is no risk. So why not to play? And after bishop d4, I believe this position is just equal. So we see this exchange of everything, and yes, this is already just a completely equal position. So a draw. White had no chance to be better, but I think black missed some opportunities maybe to push a little bit. All in all, a solid draw. Quite a slow start in this game. Then we have Firuza with white against Shankland. Firuza, one of the best chess players currently in the world, and as well Shankland had a great tournament, the World Cup. So Shankland seems to be in a great shape, but Firuza is an obvious favorite in the current game. Round one, Firuza is white. We have the Grünfeld. So this is a line of Grünfeld. All is theory. We will not go into details of theory, obviously, because it makes not much sense. And we have the knight a5 line, so there is another line with the move b6, just to know. So knight a5, bishop d3, all is normal. B6, rook to b1 played by Firuza after 10 minutes of thinking. So or he prepared that, or he was not sure which line to choose eventually. In any case, we have rook to b1, very normal. You might ask, why not to take the pawn on c5? And the problem is, once white is taking on c5, white is usually not doing better, because we have this very strong bishop, and it gives black enough compensation, so black can play simple moves like queen c7, for example, take. Now white is a pawn up, but quick development with bishop e6, knight c4. Usually most of these positions are approximately equal, so this is not better for white. That's why rook to b1, white is trying to keep the strong center and to play a long game. So we have the move e5 played by Shankland. e5, I'm not so sure. I don't know, maybe it is good to play the move e5, but again, I don't know if it is the best. White is taking on c5 now that the bishop on g7 is closed. So bishop e6, still I believe position should be close to equal, but white can try now to play for a win here. Queen c8, I'm not again sure if this actually been the best to put the queen on c8. It makes sense, but the problem is the move a4. A4 is looking very, very strong. And the main idea again of black to put the knight on c4. After that, white usually has to take, and then white is going to lose the pawn on a2. And after the move a4, there will be no way to play this knight to c4 in a good version, because white is going to take and play on the move a5. That means queen c8 is not stopping white from playing the move a4. So not so sure that queen on c8 was the best that black could do. Eventually, maybe, I don't know, put the queen to d7, for example, is looking pretty normal. e8 is not working because we have the bishop c5. So queen d7. And is it better for white or not? Hard to tell. Personally, I believe good chances to equalize. So let's take a look at this position once again. 2 pawns down for black, but good chances for a draw. The pawn is hanging. Knight c4 is coming next. The knight on e2. Quite a bad piece, and black can bring the rook into the game very, very fast, followed by bishop f8. So all the black pieces are joining the game. I believe it should be close to equal. White is going to try a little bit to make some pressure, obviously, but 2 pawns more, but I think it's not enough to really to be way better, maybe a little better. So queen c8, now we have the move a4, and the problem, yeah, a5. So now black cannot get the pawn on a5. Still, black is having some compensation. Bishop on c4 is very, very strong, but is it enough compensation for black? Not so sure. So we have queen c6, queen c2. All is pretty normal, and yeah, this is looking, starts to look bad for black. White is sacrificing the pawn. And rook c1, yeah, bringing all the pieces. Now we have this bishop b6, a5. Tricky position for black, not easy to defend. Shankland is taking on e4, very, very risky play. A knight gets to b5, knight c7, and a6, a7 coming next. On the limit, Shankland is holding on the limit. It looks very, very dangerous. Bishop h6, attacking the rook, so the bishop joins the game, but not a perfect position for the bishop. A rook to d1 looks normal. Black continues attacking the white rooks with the bishops, and here we go. So knight c7, rook c8, just couple of squares away from queening. It looks like winning for white. And rook to e1. I don't know if there was something better, but in my opinion should be. Maybe even some simple move like rook here to f1, because how to prevent the a pawn? Let's say we go bishop d3. Now probably we can just go a6. Black is taking on f1, king f1, and yeah, now a7, a8. Is there a way to stop? Maybe to take on h2. Now just simple, I don't know where actually it's better, but let's go king to g1. Rook goes away. We play the move a7. Next move might be the move a8, piece up for 2 pawns. I think it's not enough to hold this for black, so this must be winning for white in my opinion. So I think rook e1 probably not the best, because maybe he has missed his move bishop d2 and suddenly there's like no good square to go with the rook. Rook e2, bishop c3. It feels like this must be lost for black. All the bishops are hanging. Still the idea of a6, a7 is there, but by luck black is holding. So bishop d4, yeah, just in time. And some crazy tactics, by the way. Very, very crazy tactics. We are currently move 35, so couple of moves to go till move 40. But it seems like there is no way to win this position, or maybe there is a win. Actually, what a move. Rook f4 followed by just rook to h4. Don't understand the move rook to h4 back, because it looks like a loss of a tempo. Still, maybe this is just a draw, and actually the game finishes here. So after rook h4, Shankland offered a draw and was accepted by Firuza. Probably Firuza was quite disappointed not being able to win the game previously, so now he thought, okay, probably, well, I have missed so big opportunities, so I will not try any longer. And indeed, with the bishop on d4, seems like white is not really capable of winning. Just imagine the difference, bishop on d4, and before that the bishop been on g7. So how the bishop got there, and actually over d2, c3, d4. Yeah, Firuza has missed this idea. Lucky draw for Shankland, and of course big miss for Firuza. He could have started with a win. Very, very close. The next game is between Elyanov. So as well, Elyanov, for majority of the time, Elyanov, he had 2720, 2750, very, very strong player from Ukraine. And against a young player from Greece, Theodoro Nicholas. For a long time, I think Greece had no real 2650 player. Now it is, yeah, he's there. Nicholas playing lately very well in a lot of different events. So nice to see that. Elyanov is white. Let's see what happened in this game. c3, not the most ambitious opening approach by Elyanov, but still. So we have one of the main lines, and actually e takes d6. Quite interesting, because the main move is in this position, queen d6. Almost everyone is playing the move queen to d6. Now we have e takes d6. Knight f3. After long thinking by Elyanov, well, I don't know why to think so long. Maybe he was considering to put the knight on e2 and then to play to d4, but knight f3 is looking normal. Knight c6, d4, and we have here bishop e7, take, and this endgame. Maybe slightly better endgame for white. Doesn't look like it is much. And will we see something interesting in this game, or it's gonna be just a dry draw? So change. Yeah, this is just a draw. So not a very exciting game. Not very exciting at all. Yeah, just a forced draw, and okay, that's it. Slow start in the round 1 of London. So let's see the next game. So we have Maro Jones, local player Gwen Jones, and Abdusattarov with the black pieces, young player from Uzbekistan, one of the best players in the world, as well as you can see 2,750 elo for Abdusattarov. For sure, Abdusattarov would like to get some play with black. We know the outcome of the game. It is a draw. We have Panov, Karo-Kan, but the Panov variation and the move a6. Quite a rare move, a6. The main line here is the move bishop g4 or the move e6. This is like the two main lines, but a6 as well does exist. CD, not the most ambitious line for white, but it is played, and bishop e6, all is theory. And now we go with a crazy line, knight to g5. Yes, this leads, in my opinion, just to a forced draw, knight to d1. Completely correct. Yeah, this is just a forced draw, and actually what a crazy draw. White is sacrificing a queen, and white is capable to give perpetual check here. So very funny. King e8 back, because after king c7, bishop f4 check, we have king to b6. It looks like white is queen down, but in fact after rook takes d1, it is black who is fighting here to equalize. Looks strange, just a piece for the queen, but the king's position is so bad, and there is d5 coming next, or knight f7. So for example, there is a nice variation, king to a7, we have the move d5. Beautiful position of the white pieces, but a full queen down. Queen a5, bishop d2. In case white is gonna manage to take the knight on c6, I think white is just doing better. Knight b4, so preventing everything, and just short castle. So what a crazy position. Black was a queen up, but the position of the white pieces is so good. So we have the move knight f7, we have the move a3, winning the knight. King on a7 is in danger because we have this bishop e3 check. White is gonna win some material back, this is sure, but is it better for white, or if black is doing okay? It's hard to say, but I believe that black has no chances of doing better here. So maybe black is fine, but it is the most that black can reach. That's why Abdusattorov is not going for this craziness, and we have just a repetition of the moves. So just 16 moves, and it is a draw. One more game on a slow start of round 1. Then we have Mishra against Vityugov. Mishra, the young American Indian chess player. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he became one of the youngest grandmasters in the world. And Vityugov, who recently moved to the UK, changed the federation from St. Petersburg, if I'm not mistakenly. Vityugov had most of his life around 2720, so as well he dropped a lot of rating recently with 2657. Maybe not so easy to move to UK actually. Let's see what we have. We have the Nimzo with the move a3. Not the most popular line of Nimzo, a3. Usually we see more often the move e3 being played, or the move knight to f3. As well, queen to c2 for those who are big fans of Nimzo queen c2. There are many people, queen c2 of course. So a3, white is forcing to take on c3. Now c5. Here black has a very wide choice of different opportunities how to play this position. c5, f3, knight c6. It's one of the most forced lines, e4 and d6. Yes, this is a very interesting line. b6, the idea of black is this bishop a6, knight to a5 as well, just to close the center by playing the move e5. After black is gonna close everything in the center, the bishop pair is irrelevant. So knight to g3, knight a5 seems all to be theory. Bishop a6, short castle, all theory, and we have strange move h5. No idea what it is. I have never seen before something like h5. To me, usually black is trying to castle short side, so this looks pretty normal to do just a short side castle here, short side. Now as well we want to take the pawn on c4. Before we could not because there was queen a4 check. So after short castle, white has this very sharp lines with bishop g5 move, or just to play calm queen a2. So this is all normal, and as well we still have theoretical position. h5, very weird try. e5 immediately countered by Mishra. And yes, hello to the chat. In case you have some questions, please write them down in the chat. I will be happy to answer the questions in case I can. We have the move e5, very, very good looking move. Take, take, and h4. Wow. What is doing Vityugov? Hard to understand, because this is just looking very bad for black. We have still black king on e8, so the only chance to escape is now to do somehow the long castle, which is a difficult task. So I don't know. This is just looking not right. Bishop e4, change of queens. I don't know. By feeling there might be something better than that for white, than just to go for this endgame, because the endgame might be close to equal. I don't understand the move of Mishra, bishop e4. I believe that white should be capable of fighting against the king on e8. So bad, the king on e8. Maybe something like rook a2 followed by rook to d2, or maybe get out the bishop then rook to d2. I think the position of black should be dangerous here. It doesn't look like it is fine. So strange. Bishop e4 move by Mishra, and now we have this endgame, but well, is it possible to be better in this endgame? f6, strong move, king f7, king g6 are the next moves. g7 is going to fall, so g4, rook to d8. Yeah, very simple play by Vityugov. It looks good. Mishra is trying to be creative actually. g5 and f takes g5. Funny. Just imagine black would play here the move f5. This bishop is basically a pawn. So even weaker than a pawn, because a pawn theoretically can move to h7, but in fact it's not so bad. It's not so bad because maybe white is just winning by taking on d8, and then we have this rook to d1 next, and somehow even having bishop as a pawn still enough for white to be better. Rook to d7 coming next, so black is not capable of that. Black has to take on g5, take, and knight to d6. Yeah, the knight is getting now to f5, g7 is going to fall, so yes, this is just a draw. Well, this game, not so bad. Both players wanted to fight, but yeah, finally the game just ends here. Moves 33 into a draw. Black is gonna take, white is gonna play king f5 or just rook e7, taking the pawn. So this is just a draw. Slow start in the round one. Let's go to take a look what did happen actually in the round two. So round two of the London Chess Classics. And now first we have the game between Adams and Vityugov. Just let me check for a second on Lichess. Somehow we are not getting live. I don't know why. Just a second, please. Let me see if I can do something about it. If actually we can somehow get live on Lichess. Just 1 second, please. I want to see if we're live. Yes, it's written we are live, but I don't see. Strange. Okay, a little strange because I don't see myself live, but we should be live. So let's go back to the games. And round two. So let's go. We have Mickey Adams with a white color, and we have Vityugov with the black pieces. So another game on the Spanish. Let's see what kind of Spanish we are going to see yet. We see the Spanish with the move d3. Once again, white is avoiding the main Spanish with the move rook to e1. d3. Now bishop takes e6, followed by knight to e5 is the threat. Black b5, all is normal. d6 also very normal, and c3 because knight to a5 is the next move of black. White is usually playing the move c3 or eventually playing the move a3 or a4. So we have c3, very calm version of the Spanish. Bishop c2, getting ready to play the move d4 eventually. Knight to b8. Strange looking move, but actually it's one of the main lines, because knight b8 followed by knight to d7, then the move c5 is usually what we see. It's perfectly okay for black. Knight d2, knight d7, rook e1, and rook e8. I don't know, white to play actually the move rook to e8, bishop f8, or maybe just a straight move like c5. Personally, I like to play c5 here. Rook e8 is a good move, but now knight to f1, knight g3 still takes quite a bit of time to get the knight to f5, so black will have enough time to play rook e8 later. Vityugov decides to play immediately. Alright, bishop f8 still very solid everything. b4. I don't know if it is the right version for white actually to try with a4, b4. Personally, I like more the move d4. I believe there is only one way to play here for advantage with white, and it is to play the move d4. After a4, now c5, it all looks pretty equal. We will see probably some changes here, and I don't know, I believe this is just an equal position. So knight to b3, white knight is aiming for a5, but we have take and d5. Now the black bishop from f8 tries to grab the pawn on b4, bishop on d2, rook c8. Yeah, this is just an equal position. I don't think there is much to talk about. Strange game, a little bit like the rook a5. I don't know, I don't like so much what Mickey Adams is doing, but still it should be just equal. Little tactics, some pieces are going to be exchanged. Yeah, massive changes, so just a draw. Well, not the most exciting game ever, as well. This game finishes on move 32 in a completely equal position. Yeah, now let's go to the first victorious game. We have Abdusattorov with the white pieces and Mishra with the black pieces. Abdusattorov wins the current game, and I can tell you in advance, he is the leader of London Chess Classics after the 7th round. He's playing a great event, great games, and with the first victory in the round 2. Let's see what Abdusattorov could do to Mishra. So we have again another game on the Spanish opening, or Ruy Lopez. B5, so early B5 and bishop C5. Very popular line. Not the most popular, but one of the main lines. In the previous games we saw the move bishop E7 played by black. Now we have the move B5 and bishop C5, A4. So he is playing with the move A4, Abdusattorov. There is another line with C3 and D4 as well. A4, rook to B8, all is normal, C3, D6, D4. This is all theory. A5, quite a nice move, but of course it is still theory. Bishop A7. Maybe you might ask, why not to take the pawn with a knight on A5? And actually here, beautiful idea. Rook takes, bishop takes, and we can take the pawn on E5. What a beautiful exchange sacrifice. And after D takes E5, actually white is doing here way better. So for those of you who play these lines, maybe something to be checked, but it is well known. It is not like something new or like a big secret. So A5 pawn cannot be taken. There is bishop A7, now H3. Why do we play the move in H3? Because in case of bishop E3, there is, for example, bishop G4. So quite a nasty pin. H3, still theory. Bishop B7, rook to E1. Why bishop B7? Because now we want to take the pawn on E4. Before that, we cannot take the pawn on E4. There is bishop D5, and bishop is gonna win. So bishop B7, rook to E1, short castle, always pretty normal. Bishop E3, still theory. Both players are playing very, very fast. Knight to B4 as well. This is still theory. Preparation for the move C5, and E4 is hanging. Bishop G5, H6, bishop H4, C5, all is normal. So let's see what happens after rook E3. Still very fast play by Abdusattorov, so probably he's in his preparation as well. Mishra should be in his preparation, and we have the move C4, yes. Still, position is looking fine for black, in my opinion. Very unpleasant pin. On the other hand, we have this powerful bishops here. B4, maybe this is a mistake. So black should not play the move B4. Or maybe B4 is fine, but in my opinion, too risky to play the move B4. Maybe he miscalculated the complications after the move knight to D5, but black should be doing good here. Maybe there is a way to do some slow play, for example, like rook c8. Let's get ready for the move b4. So b4 is going to be played next. Currently e5 is not dangerous because we can just take it. So white takes. We have here bishop on a7. So white, I don't know what white is gonna do here. Maybe a rook to e1 and to play b4. No, I believe it should be close to equal, but of course position is very, very complicated. We have the move b4 been played in the game, and he goes for this g5. This is crazy because it's getting so dangerous for black. I don't know why to play the move g5. I think black should have taken just on d5, and yes, white might be doing better here, but is it a big advantage? This is the question. So for example, rook c8. White is doing better, yes, because now bishop on a7 is just a blocked bishop. On the other hand, I don't know how much better is this position actually for white. Maybe a little better. Still, this unpleasant pin is existing, but black is gonna play c3 next, so it's sort of balanced a little bit. Maybe some advantage for white, but it should not be like a heavy advantage in my opinion. So very, very fighting positions here. Instead, we have the move g5, obviously miscalculation. So here we go with a piece sacrifice, and bishop d5. Also here is interesting, something else that white could do. No, so it's quite a forced line. Now white wants to go queen f5 or rook to g3, so black has to take it, and we have queen e8. Yeah. This is the way to get out of this pin. Rook f1 would be the next move of white, so still very, very direct play. Take, queen f2. So still Abdusattorov playing instantly well. He knew that. Move 27 off a sideline, and still he's in his preparation eventually. Take, rook to b5, king e3. Looks like a better endgame for white. g4, quite nice, yeah. And king e4. Yeah, this is just a very bad endgame actually for Mishra. Still the bishop on a7 is a very, very weak piece. And there is just h5, g5 coming. Then in the right moment, white is gonna move the rook somewhere, sacrifice a pawn on a5 and play g6 next. So this is just game over. King g6, rook f1, d5, king e3. Still huge suffer here with the bishop on a7 out of the game. h5 and g5. Yeah, just pawns keep on rolling. Bishop e7. Nice little tactic, attacking the bishop on d6 and taking on f7. Yeah, very clean win by Abdusattorov. Beautiful game. The pawn on c3 could be dangerous, but having the rook on c7, it is completely neutralizing everything. So yeah, beautiful win by Abdusattorov in the round 2 of London Chess Classics. This is way too easy. Why Mishra does not resign? This is just weird because, well, these two pawns and h7. Now finally Mishra decides that enough is enough even for Mishra. So king h6 followed by g7 with a mate simply on the board. This is the moment when Mishra decides it's time to resign. Could have been a bit earlier, but alright. So beautiful win by Abdusattorov. Next game we have Teodoro against Marora Jones. Let's see what happened in this game. We see that Nicolas managed to win. We have the move c4, a6, not the most popular line of the Queen's Gambit, but it's perfectly okay to play it. All is theory here, all is very normal, and we have the move c6 as well. Yeah, this is all theory. Bishop h4, h6, knight to d2, all is very, very normal. g5, dangerous play, very dangerous play by black. Usually to play the move g5, these are not the way to go for black. With black we try to be more solid in these positions. Maybe the idea of white might be to play the move f4 followed by f5, but as well this not always the best for white because the pawn on e3 is going to be weak. So I don't know, g5, I don't like this move, and fg of course. Yeah, maybe he has missed the move fg, but this is so normal to take with the f pawn. The rook is getting very active as well, e4 somewhere. I believe this position is still solid for black, but it is a dangerous position. So g4, what is g4? Very strange play by black. I don't understand the move g4. The idea is maybe to prevent white from knight f3, knight to e5, but it's not actually what white prefers to do next. So g4, no idea. Knight on e2. Yeah, why not? Because knight is getting to f4 now. Beautiful square. Queen b6, a try to castle alongside. b4. Nice play. Very nice play by white. In case of queen takes b4, obviously there is a rook to b1, and b7 is going to fall. In case of something like long castle, now b4 is very well placed, because very soon we're gonna play the move a4 followed by the move b5. So big advantage for white. Beautiful play b4. We have the move h5, like where black is going. The idea h4 is not dangerous at all. So for the moment I don't understand the play of black. Queen e1, multifunctional move. Knight b3, knight c5, knight f4 as well, e4 somewhere. Queen b4 now, so dangerous. rook to b3. So white is not taking at the moment on b7 because the bishop is hanging. So first rook to b3 has to be played. Queen a2. This is crazy. This is just crazy play by black. Queen c1, nice. Rook to a3 is coming next. Queen a5, rook takes b7. It's basically game over. Black is pawn up, but look at the king on e8. There is no place to go. In case of something like short castle, there is always e4, and then the queen from c1 will get to g5. This is going to be a checkmate very, very soon. That's why black stays in the center, rook c8, but yeah, to stay in the center does not help much. e4, of course. White is opening the position, and e5, knight g8. This is complete game over. How bad it looks here. Terrible position for black. I think luckily the game ends soon, because to suffer here for longer would be just so unpleasant. Yeah, c6 also beautiful way to finish the game. Of course there are so many ways, I guess, to win here with the white pieces, but beautiful combo. c6, and yeah, rook cannot take on c6 because e7 is hanging, and if you take with the queen, there is just check on b8. Looks like game over. So rook f8, bishop takes a6, rook takes f7. Little tactic, but of course for this kind of level of player to miss that is impossible. So queen on g8, and it is game over. Beautiful game by Teodoro. Yeah, very well done. And yeah, unlucky play by black. This g4 followed by the move h5. I don't know, does not look too good. Next we have Shankland and we have Elyanov. Let's see what happened here. So this time Italian, by the way, black is continuing playing e5 at the move e4. So all the time we saw for the moment just the move e5. And Italian game instead of bishop b5 in the previous games. So we have the line with bishop e7 of the Italian game. Very solid line. The main line is bishop c5. a3, d6, all is normal, all is theory. a5, rare, most common bishop e6 here. But okay, we have the move a5, h3, slow play, bishop e6, knight to g5. The problem is white is having here, of course, a couple of options, but in all of the options it's very difficult to prove that you're actually doing better. And in case white is going to play something slow like short castle, there is always a move d5. This is a problem. So after bishop e6, black wants to play the move d5, and yeah, now that's it. Position is just equal, playable but equal. So we have the move knight to g5, take, but as well here I think should be very close to equal. Strange move queen c8, like why to go queen c8 here? I don't know, maybe the idea is knight to d8, but was it a must to play, or could we just try knight to d4 to sacrifice? Let's see, is it possible to get enough compensation? Knight d7, now g5 knight is under attack, so we go bishop f6. White has to play queen e3 because there is nothing else. We simply take and we play the move knight to c5, winning back the pawn on e4. So looks like just a forced draw. There is no way for white to defend the pawn on e4. Something like knight to c3 not working, rook e8 and f3 is just way too dangerous. There's a check on h4 followed by the move f5, so only black might be doing better here. It's not a play for a win for white. That's why I believe it just knight to d4, and black is doing very good, but we have the move queen c8. Still solid, but maybe better for white now. Knight to e6, g3. Okay, c6, take, and f4. Yeah, Shankland is playing a good game. White is pushing. Knight h5, take, take, and bishop b6. Yeah, this is starting to look really bad for black. The central pawns are covering a lot of squares, but the bishop on b6 is so powerful, controlling the square on d8. It looks like already quite a big advantage actually for white. Bishop on d8 and knight to a4. I don't know. Maybe knight a4 is looking logical, but is it the solution to play the move knight to a4? Maybe white should have tried to play queen to e3 to get the queen to b6. Nice place for the white queen because we have b7 hanging. It feels so unpleasant. I don't know if knight a4 was the best. Take, rook to d8. So black continues trying to save the game. Queen on c3, rook d4. I think he just missed the move rook to d4. Shankland is missing rook d4. White should have played the move queen to e3 because white to miss the move rook to d4. Now if rook to d4 there is a move c3, so we hunt away the rook. Take, and obviously white is having quite some advantage. Knight on b6, beautiful piece. The next move of white, c5, knight c4, a5 is hanging, knight is getting to d6. I don't know, feels unpleasant. It feels quite unpleasant for black. Maybe there is a way to save the game, but black has to suffer a lot in this position. This is not an equal game. As well, it's not a game with equal chances. White is doing quite better. So queen c3, mistake by white. Now after rook to d4, take, g3 pawn is falling, and yes, this position is getting now quite unclear. I don't know. King a2, e5. So knight takes e4, queen f7, and queen takes e5. Still looks pretty unclear. Black is back. Knight on b6, still a very strong piece, but it's not like it's certainly better for white. Quite unclear. Queen f5, and we have a crazy endgame. Actually, this crazy endgame ends immediately in a draw, because actually white could have tried as well here to play a little bit for a win by trying, for example, I don't know, need to put the rook to good square, something like rook to d4, and then trying to play b4, c5, and black is gonna get the pawn on h3 and is gonna push the g pawn. So it's gonna be like a push on different sides. Very hard to say who is doing better, but white decides just to finish the game with a draw. So Shankland missed quite many chances to be better. And the next game we have McShane against Firuza. Firuza, big favorite basically in all the games he plays, except for the game with Abdusattorov. We have Sicilian, finally no e5, so something new. Sicilian, the Naiditsch with the move bishop e2. McShane is choosing to play very calm Naiditsch, but not so calm actually. f4. I expected to see short castle here, so I have positional game. f4 is quite theoretical, so a risky choice for McShane to play a very forced theoretical line against Firuza, who is one of the best chess players in the world, who is so well prepared. McShane is not a professional chess player, so he has a normal job. So risky choice to go for something like that against Firuza. Bishop on d7, interesting. So he's not taking on b3. Usually black is taking on b3, then very quickly to play knight to c6, maybe knight d4, d5 next. As well, these positions are pretty crazy. It's going to be very dynamic play. We have here bishop d7, bishop e3, bishop c6, bishop f3. I don't know, b5, still crazy position. Black wants to go b4 next. White has to get ready for this h4, g5 as soon as possible. a3, preventing the move b4, knight d7, queen e2. So McShane is getting ready to castle long side. Knight to b6, knight a5. So no long castle. Actually, why not? Long castle looks pretty good here. a5 followed by b4. I don't think a5 is working because we can take the pawn on b5. So why not to castle alongside followed by h4, g5. We have knight a5 first, rook to c8, now long castle, bishop a8. I'm not so sure. Knight a5 is usually having a good position in case we have the queen on d2, because the queen protects the knight on a5. But now the queen on e2 is, I don't know, not so sure. Bishop d2, this doesn't look right. And queen c7, so black is getting ready to play the move d5. Now also this pressure on the c file. And still white is missing two moves, h4, g5. King to b1, d5, so black is starting. Takes, rook e1, short castle. Very, very complex position, but it feels that black is doing well here. Usually, in case black is capable of playing moves like d5, black is doing very well. Queen e5, what is this? Take, takes. I don't understand. McShane has missed something. Maybe he has missed that after bishop takes f3, the rook is hanging, otherwise it's just a blunder of a piece. Wow. Yeah, McShane has just blundered the piece by taking queen takes e5, but still position is quite unpleasant, to be honest. This is not a nice position for white, but there is no reason to blunder a piece with queen e5. Yeah, bishop f3. He has just missed that the rook is hanging. That's the difference between a professional player and still a very, very strong grandmaster, but who is not playing anymore professionally. Sometimes you do blunder, and the very top, they miss this kind of chances so rarely. Now, piece down. Yes, it is just time to resign. McShane still plays on a little bit. Well, time to resign, yeah. Time to resign, and there is rook to a1 coming next. It is game over, yeah. Okay, nice win by Firuza, but McShane made it a little bit too easy, so he could have fought a little harder. Let's go to the third round. What do we have here? Round number 3. We have Firuza and Mickey Adams with the black pieces, so obviously Mickey has to get ready for a very difficult game. Firuza won the last game. Now with the white pieces, he wants to win for sure again. We have the Italian game with c3, d3. All is theory, and interesting that Adams is choosing the line with d5. Quite a forced line. Short castle, all theory. Bishop b5 as well. This and knight d2. Okay, all is well known except the move knight c4. This is strange. Usually white is continuing with the move knight to e4 or rook to e1. We have the move knight c4 played by Firuza, who has already spent some time, 21 minutes, so not sure if he knows it or maybe he just decided to do something new. Hard to tell. Take and h6. A good move by black. Very nice play by Mickey Adams. I like moves like h6 so much because there might be somewhere move like knight to g5 as followed by queen h5 is getting so dangerous, and with the move h6 you just quit all the tricks by white. So strong play. Rook e1, queen f6, all is normal. Queen g6, yeah, just a normal game. Bishop d7, of course the pawn cannot be taken. We have a rook to b8, a rook d1, a rook d8, and bishop on d5. Strange play by white, very strange play by white. Maybe black is actually doing already a little better, so even Mickey Adams could have played here for a win with the black pieces, but he was happy. He was happy to make a draw against one of the best players in the world, against Firuza, and just repeats the moves with the black color. I think if he would not show that much respect and play something normal, like for example knight to e7, so we want to get the bishop has to be moved to e4 because there is nothing else, and for example knight f5, next move could be rook e8, and black is just having some slight edge here, no big risk, but Mickey Adams thought a draw with the black pieces against one of the best players in the world is enough. So we see repetition of the move. So actually not very ambitious opening by Firuza and quick draw. I think he was quite disappointed with this quick draw. Okay, next game of the round 3 is between Elyanov and McShane, who lost previously to Firuza with the white pieces, with this move missing a full piece. So Elyanov as well with the white pieces probably thought he might be able to achieve some pressure. We have the Bogolubov, not very often played by black. Now much more often we see, of course, the move d5 with a normal Catalan, but bishop b4 followed by the move c5. I like to play this as well with the black pieces when I've been younger, but somehow the engines are showing usually quite solid advantage for white, so not that popular any longer with the black pieces. d6, rook e8, yes, all is exactly how I've been playing it, I don't know, 20 years ago, but of course many other players as well. So the idea of black is to go with the move e5. Yes, we have this strange pawn structure, but actually it's not so bad. The problem of this position is the move a3 usually, because after a3 black is having a trouble what to do next. In case of b takes a3, we can take on a3 with a rook or with a knight, it doesn't matter. For example, with a knight, next move might be knight to b5, so we have a better structure for white. This position is better for white. And after a3, in case we go with the move knight to c6, maybe a better option. Still, there is an easy option, let's say, of even few options. For example, to take is as well slightly better here. Knight to c3, as you can see, e4 is coming next as well here. White is having quite a solid advantage, so this line is not anymore popular because of the move a3. We have the move queen to d3 as well. Good setup for white. e4, a5. Now the move a3 is strange. So usually white should not combine two ideas. Now we have a combination, queen d3 followed by a3. This is a bit strange. ab is not a threat. We have knight takes b4, so if I would be white, I would not combine these two ideas. Take, ba, yeah, maybe it's already a must to take b takes a3, because in case we take with a knight, there is e5 immediately, and d5 we have this knight to b4, so the queen on d3 is poorly placed. That's why ba, but it's not the idea of white. Yeah, e5 and knight to b8. Good play by McShane. The knight gets to a6 and the other knight is over d7, controlling the c5 square. Knight to c3. Sometimes white is even sacrificing pawn like c5, but maybe it is too much to sacrifice a pawn right now as well. Black can just ignore and play the move knight a6, take knight c5, and here the pawn e4 is falling. So we have knight c3, knight a6, knight d2, bishop d7. Okay, bishop d7 also looking good. Personally, I like this kind of knight d7, knight c5, but maybe there is no need for that. So bishop d7 immediately, queen c7, looks like a solid position. To my understanding, this is approximately an equal position. We see slow play by both players. Not much is going on currently. The knight on c5 is holding everything, and for white it's not so easy to move the knight from d2 to c3. So it would be good to do that, but not so simple. to get the knight to c3, and even then, if you have the knight on c3, knight a4 is not the best. Maybe knight to b5, but then the queen can just move away, so as well it would be not over. Let's see. We have positional game. Both players are trying to play safe, so moving. Finally, white knight gets to the square c3. And does it change something? Both players continue moving. Okay, let's move a bit faster, otherwise it's too boring to watch that. So no. Finally we have white doing something to changing the bishop versus knight, but how does it help? I don't understand how this should help. And continue moving. Yeah, not much is going on. White is trying to find a way to break the fortress of black, but yeah, when you have this kind of beautiful knight on c5, it's just so difficult to do something. Actually, this eternal game. Never-ending story. White plays on, and now move 98, draw agreed, and actually both players could have agreed to a draw basically 70 moves ago. So both players wasted a lot of time, a lot of power, and yeah, finally just a draw. Okay, so normal draw between Elyanov and McShane. Let's go with the next game. It is a game between Marora Jones and Shankland. So we have knight c3, so we have 4 knights, bishop b5, bishop b4. This position, just a fourth draw. Okay, in this position, the only way to play for a win with white is to play the move d3. Of course, many games, and it is a theoretical position. We have bishop c6, like VE played this take, but it leads just to a forced draw. Yeah, this is just a draw. Well, completely draw out of opening, so white is forcing a draw. So far, Marora Jones forced a draw against Abdusattarov with the white pieces. Very forced draw. Now the second forced draw. Usually he's very fighting player, so it's strange to see him forcing draws with the white pieces. Yeah, and okay. Pawn and game. Will it get a bit funny, or... Wow, actually, quite some fight still in the... Yes, okay. Still, of course, a draw, so yeah, not a very exciting game, even though both players tried to make it as exciting as possible, but we can say that white just forced a draw out of opening. A bit strange decision. Okay, next we have Misha, one of the youngest grandmasters in the world, against Theodoro, the best Greek chess player currently. c3 as well. This is not the most ambitious line. Strange to see young player playing moves like c3, because okay, d4 is obviously the most critical. c3 line is very safe for white, but I think Misha is too young to be safe. Let's see what happens in this game. Still, all is theory. Rook to e1, also this is theory. Yeah, well-known line, and bishop takes f5. What is this? This is not looking good. The main line of theory is the move bishop c2, followed by the idea queen to d3. Then we have this pressure here. Still, position is more or less equal, but bishop takes f5 looks just very bad, because how to change your bishop like that looks like a big positional mistake, in my opinion. Bishop e4, yeah, very normal. What a strange play by Misha. Don't understand that. Also forcing draw with white. Well, very unexpected, because such a young GM, why do you force a draw with white? Like, what's the point of that? I don't understand this. Maybe something going on there in the London chess classics that we see already. Couple of fast draws, but strange. And next game we have between Vitigov and Abdusattorov. So Abdusattorov won the game before that. And again, he manages to win with the black pieces. Let's see what happened. Vitigov is usually very, very safe with the white. We have all theory, knight e4, also theory. This line is pretty safe. f5, okay, interesting. f5 is a play for a win. Knight to e5 still. It is all theory here. Yeah, this is just a theoretical position. Knight g4, queen e8, yeah, till the current moment. And f3. Yes, this is just a drawish line because we have this endgame, and this endgame, in my opinion, is just equal. c5. Long thinking before playing. Actually, Abdusattorov thought here for a very long time before playing the move queen e8. Maybe he had some doubts about the endgame. Or maybe he thought he should not play endgame. I don't know. One of those. And yeah, finally he decided to go for this. It looks just like an equal endgame to me. But he manages to win this with the black pieces. Quite impressive, because how to win that with the black pieces? A rook e1, king f7, rook e4. White to play rook to e4. Where is the white rook going? No idea. Strange play. Strange play by Vitigov, because hard to understand why to put the rook to e4. Maybe he thought he will be able to take the pawn on e6, but currently I don't think it's possible to take, because look, if we take, simple move knight to d4. So knight is attacking the rook and pawn f3. There is rook to e3, knight c2. So white is gonna lose the exchange. Not too difficult. I don't know. Maybe Vitigov has missed the move rook e8. He thought that there is e5 like the only option for black, but then of course we have the move f4 and white is doing a little better. But not very difficult move rook e8. And still, position should be pretty close to equal. Vitigov is trying to play for a draw, and Abdusattorov is pushing for a win with the black pieces. And knight to f2. I think he has missed the move a3. But how to miss the move a3? Very strange. Vitigov is really playing not the best game ever here with the white pieces. a3. He takes, and b3. I mean, horrible. This is just horrible what Vitigov has done. Black has beautiful pawn structure. Knight is getting to b4 or d4, so black can choose. Black is having now a better position already. So Vitigov is getting completely outplayed by Abdusattorov. We started with more or less an equal endgame, and now Abdusattorov is just doing much better. h4 pawn is getting weak. Rook h1, rook e7. Black is getting ready with rook h7 followed by rook h4. Knight to c3. Vitigov just gives the pawn. Like, what? No, but this game is really strange. Vitigov is playing not at his usual level. He's usually a good player, also very safe, but now it looks just disastrous. So maybe he thought he can hold this kind of position, but being pawned down, how to hold that? I don't think it's possible to hold that. Black is sacrificing the pawn on d6, but knight takes b3 maybe leads immediately to a win. Because in case a takes b3, rook takes b3, and the king is just so near, so black wants to get the pawn to a2 and then king b4 and king a3. Actually quite a beautiful sacrifice by Abdusattorov, but it's not too difficult sacrifice for this kind of level like Abdusattorov. It looks like white is having a piece up, but actually white is doing probably a little lost here. It doesn't look like white is capable of saving. For example, we bring the knight a bit nearer by playing knight to b5, a2, now rook b1, so rook a1. We have just simple check and play like king to b4. c4 is falling the knight. Beautiful place on b5, but is doing nothing. c4 is going to fall after that. c5 pawn, yeah, is going to walk straight forward. So this is just a lost position. Very nice play by Abdusattorov. Beautiful piece sacrifice. So white is not taking the piece, not accepting the piece sacrifice. And yeah, still rook d3. He just makes fun with Vityugov. What a move, rook d3. Very, very beautiful. Finally takes king b4. A rook on d3 is cutting the knight on e4, a2, king b3, king b2. Game is done, but very beautiful play. Very, very nice play by Abdusattorov. What a game. What a game. g5, yeah, a2, that's it. Full knight up for white, but white is hopeless. Completely hopeless. Knight d6, king b3, so king will get to b2 slowly, and yeah, even e4 just finishes the game on the spot. Rook to b1 is next. So for example, take, we can play the move f3, we can play the move rook to b1, doesn't really matter. Black is completely winning. Extremely beautiful endgame play by Abdusattorov. By the way, for those of you who like endgames, I think this is one of the games that has to be collected like an example that an equal endgame can be actually won. Excellent play by Abdusattorov. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Let's see next. Let's go to the round number 4, and we start with a game between Adams and Abdusattorov, and Abdusattorov manages to win once again with the black pieces. So 2 in a row with the black pieces, not easy. This time we have Sicilian with bishop b5, e6, c3. All is it's a slow line with the move c3, d5, d3, but it's possible to play like this with white. I think it's pretty equal. Knight e7, castle, knight g6. All is pretty equal here. Bishop d6, take. Strange, actually. White to take. I think with white, Mickey could have been a bit more careful, because take gives some opportunity to black. Why not just to take on e7 and basically say, all right, it's gonna be just a draw. For example, d4. Yes, white cannot be better here, but as well, white is not risking of getting worse, so we would see a draw most probably in the next couple of moves. Of course, the players might continue playing, but it is going to be a draw. Bishop c6, bishop takes d6, so Abdusattorov sacrifices the pawn, and Mickey Adams doesn't take the pawn, but now maybe black is doing better, because it might be already not so easy to play the move d4, knight f4 is coming, rook e8 is coming, queen g4. So white has to be very careful here. Maybe it was better to take on d5, but as well, this is looking very dangerous. Knight f4, so the bishop is under attack, and probably c4 is like the only move to play here with the white pieces, but I don't know. Knight f4 is just a very dangerous piece, and I think it's very logical that Mickey Adams didn't want Abdusattorov to attack his king with all the pieces he got. So for example, queen to f6, we have queen to g6, this double attack on d3 and g2. Looks dangerous. This is looking very dangerous for white. Maybe it's okay, but it's a dangerous position. Bishop d7 and queen d7. Black is doing slightly better. Knight a3, rook e8. White is trying to consolidate. One more move is needed, like queen to d2, then to change, and to rook e1. This would be a draw. Queen b5, no draw. Abdusattorov says, all right, let's play. b2 pawn is under attack. b3. White continues trying to be solid. Knight f4. d3 pawn is under attack. Yes, problems for Mickey Adams. He's trying to hold this position, but it feels a bit unpleasant already for black. For white, I mean. Queen c6, somewhere the move d4, somewhere just bishop c7 followed by queen g6. Big pressure on the g2 pawn. It feels unpleasant. g3, knight h5. So still little threats. Maybe just knight f6, knight g4. It's not completely equal. This is not a completely equal position. White has to be very, very careful here. Queen f3, rook e8, rook e1. Maybe equal, but again, white is suffering a little bit. Take, knight h4 back. I don't know. A knight to h4, maybe more simple just to go a bit more central. Knight to e3 followed by knight to g4. Looks to me to be a good try to equalize here. On the other hand, we have this queen a6, double attack, a2 and d3. White still needs to be careful to achieve a draw. Maybe knight g4 is making a draw, but it feels tricky to go for this position with the white pieces. Not so easy, but maybe it was already the best choice, because to go knight to h4 it feels bad. Now knight on h4 is doing not so much. Queen a6, trouble with the a2 pawn. a4, queen a5, trouble with the c3 pawn. Abdusattorov seems to be in a great shape, plays very, very well with the black pieces. Knight to e4, basically game over almost. C takes d4, take knight to g5, small tactics, d3, just done. Knight cannot be moved. We have queen on a5 and as well queen takes d5, just game over. Very easy win for Abdusattorov, yeah. Playing great chess obviously, but so easy. And that's it. Bishop a3, yeah. In case rook c2, there is queen e1 followed by queen e4. What a beautiful game by Abdusattorov to win so easy against Mickey Adams with the black pieces in more or less an equal position. Spectacular. Queen h5. Little trick. The rook is hanging. Obviously, rook f8. And there is no way to save the rook on c1. de doesn't work. Queen is hanging. Mickey Adams just resigns. Yeah, it feels terrible to lose like that with the white pieces, but Abdusattorov is just playing great chess, winning his third game in a row in a super tournament. It happens very rarely, so yeah, very impressive play by Abdusattorov. What can I say? So we are round 4. Abdusattorov has won his game with the black pieces. And let's see what happens in the next game between Teodoro and Vitigov. By the way, in case you like our channel with Georgi, please subscribe, like it, share it, and so on. We just started. That would be great. So thanks in advance for that. Let's see. We have Teodoro against Vitigov. Slow start with a Reti. So yeah, not very ambitious opening. Reti with a move h3. After h3, black has to decide to play the move bishop h5 or to take on f3. Both is looking and considered very normal. We have bishop h5, g4, bishop g6, and bishop f4. Strange line. Strange line, h6. Actually, what's the idea of white here? I don't know. Looks strange to me. Obviously, it is preparation by Teodoro, who played it very fast, but what is the main idea of that? If just, for example, the move e6, I don't know, maybe to go knight to h4, but why is it better? So for example, knight h4, right, but just simple bishop e7, short castle. Black can do as well e5 somewhere. I think it's just equal. I don't believe that white is capable here of playing for a win. And by the way, in case you have some questions, please write them in the chat. I would be happy to answer in case I can. so don't be shy. Bishop f4, h6, knight d2, e6, a4 as well. This is looking very solid for black. Bishop b4, a bit unusual way to put the bishop. Bishop e7 would be much more typical, but I don't know why bishop b4. Queen e2, short castle. Okay, knight h4. White is getting ready maybe for the move f4, but even this is looking strange. This setup with Reti with bishop f4, bishop g3, I don't really like it for white. It looks too weird. Bishop d6, yeah, very, very solid. I think if someone is better here, it should be black. It's not white. So the whole concept by Teodoro, maybe it's an interesting try to play it one game, but it's not a dangerous concept. So black is doing perfectly fine. Black even should be slightly better. Now we have an endgame, rook to e2, beautiful rook here. Knight to f3. Can white hold the things together? Knight e8. I don't know. Why so passive? Vitigov is playing very safe, but a bit passive chess. Of course, it's enough to make a draw here with the black pieces, but why to be so safe? I think he could have tried to play here for more than just a draw as well here. c5 is possible, but he just goes rook a8, defending the pawn on a5, and yeah, both players are repeating the moves, so I don't know, not very ambitious play by Vitigov. I think he could have aimed for more than just repeat the moves, but yeah, draw in the current game. All right, so let's take a look at the second, on the third game of the round number 4. We have Shankland and Mishra. Let's see what happened here. All is for the moment theory, so b5 is theory, bishop d2 as well. So we have theoretical battle here. Rook e8, all right, a3 still. All is theory, a5, e4, e5. Yes, this line been played already so many times. Shankland maybe has prepared something. Let's see. Still nothing new for the current moment. Queen e7. I'm not sure. Actually, I think after bishop f4, the main line is not the move knight to f3, if I remember correctly. The main line is knight g4, so this should be just a draw, I think, out of opening. Maybe, again, Shankland had some very interesting idea here, but obviously we cannot know that. Instead, we have knight to f3, take, and queen e7, which also looks like pretty equal. Knight to d5, changing one more piece. Yes, no, but I don't understand the preparation of Shankland, because if preparation is to get something like that, but it's just equal. This is just a draw. Queen e5, a little bit strange way to make the draw, because why not just to play the move b4, and I believe this is just a straight draw. So it's like queen c5 is only move because there is nothing white can do, and take. Yes, we have the very bad bishop, but the rook c d8 followed by rook to d2. I don't know, looks like just a draw on the spot. Let's make an example. Take, and I don't know which move is even better. Maybe just rook to d2. So take, we take on b2, b4 is falling. Okay, this is I think it's time just to agree to a draw here. So Mishra plays queen e5 instead of b4. Queen e5, it gives now some little chances to white, because the bishop is bad on b7, so white can proceed, but b4, I think, strange move by Shankland, because why do you change a pawn? It's like the usually we keep main rules of an endgame. In case you are playing for a win, don't change the pawns. In case you are playing for a draw, try to change as much as you can. But b4, and white is playing for a win, so white will play b4. Yes, white is stopping the, or better to say, white is fixing the black pawn structure. So there is no more c5, but still b4 is just not the way to go. I think from simple options, rook c5 is looking now to be very, very nice. Bishop on b7 is blocked. In case of rook cd8, we can just play the simple king f2. So f4 is very useful. Rook to d2, rook to e2. White is capable of covering the second rank, and this position could be unpleasant for black. Because look at the bishop on b7. At some moment, maybe black has to sacrifice the pawn on c6 or to play something like bishop c8. But well, it feels unpleasant. Maybe it is possible to save the current position with the black pieces, but feels not great. Instead, we have the move b4 and take rook to d8. Yes, so white to play b4 for Shankland. No idea. Doesn't seem like to be good play. Now it's not enough. Yeah, even if you win the pawn on c6, still the rook endgame is going to be a draw. Let's see if we see rook endgame. Yes, we do. And h5. Yeah, the black rook is very, very active. White rook cannot be moved from the d4 square, so this is just a draw. It's not enough to play here for a win, and I guess both players will agree to a draw very, very soon. The game goes on, but okay, it's not a real fight for a win, so draw. Okay, Shankland had his chance, didn't use it. He could have done better. So b4 was not the best move by Shankland, and after that it is a draw, but rook c5, and I think Shankland could have pushed for a win. Now we have McShane against Maroro Jones, fight of the local GMs, and both of them not having currently a great tournament. So we have McShane with a win. Probably it felt very, very good to win. Let's see what happened here. We have the Spanish with the move bishop c5. Seems like Maroro Jones playing sidelines because it's not the very main line bishop c5. Usually we see this b5 bishop c5 much more often. Still just a normal line, and McShane with the usual taking c6 d3. He seems like doing this bishop c6 d3 as well against bishop e7. He has done the same against Mickey Adams. We have queen e7, so different setup. Black could have as well continued with the move knight to d7 f6 with a more usual setup. Queen e7, I don't know, not my favorite, but of course very playable. h5. Maroro Jones, he loves these moves like h5. For those who are watching me live now from the beginning, I commented the game where Maroro Jones lost against Teodoro by playing very strange g4 h5 basically into nothing, and as well here h5. It is not looking good. I don't like the moves like h5. It's almost impossible to attack the white king on g1 even if black is castling longside, but the problem is that white is capable of attacking black because we're gonna see a4 b4 b5 of course in the long run. So I don't like moves like h5. After h5 there's no way to castle short side any longer. So knight f1 as well. Why knight to f1, and why not to put a knight on c4? I don't understand that. Knight to c4 looks so logical, but we have knight on f1, h4, h3, all right. So positional play. Finally we have the long castle. Maybe black is hoping for this g5, but there is always knight to g4, so no real attack. Queen d2, knight on f8. Yeah, this is good idea to get like f6 and knight to e6. Queen a5, knight to g6. Okay, b4, bishop f3. Why to take on f3? Why such a rush with taking on f3? I don't know. Still, black is doing fine. a4, yeah, this is the problem. When you're castling long side, there's always this a4, b4, b5 coming. Too far, b5. But still, not that dangerous because not so many pieces left on the board. So still, it should be more or less an equal position in my opinion. Knight f4, king h1, defending from some tricks on the g file. King b8. Rook b1. So white is ready to play the move b5, queen d6, b5, queen c5. I don't know. Feels strange to play queen d6, queen c5. Feels like black should have done something better than that, because anyway there is b5 coming next. So for example, you can go like f6, and in case of b5, in case you really want, now you go with the move queen to c5. So to provoke white into playing b5 feels strange. Queen d2, take, b6. Also strange. Probably black should have taken on b5. Feels a bit dangerous, of course. Just rook to e1, and white plays rook to b3, rook to b1, c4. It feels dangerous, but maybe it is still fine because we have the rook on h5, which is not so bad. So we can play rook h6 to bring the rook back into the game. I don't know. Hard to say how to evaluate this position, but by feeling dangerous for black, but maybe okay. So black has to be careful, but maybe it's fine. But b6, just to give the pawn on a6, I don't know. Not looking like a great play by Gwaine. c3, yeah, strong move. Strong move c3. There is d4 coming next. d4. Black's position is just falling apart. Queen g6, rook g1, yeah. Defending the g2 pawn, but what to do now with the pawn on e5? In case black is taking on d4, there is always cd, and c7 pawn is going to fall as well. Rook to c3 is coming next. Yeah, this is looking horrible. This is looking like a horrible position. So what to do? f6, queen to b3, and d5. Okay. c4, c5, yeah. Black has missed many opportunities. Now it is just looking so bad. Rook e4, yeah. Also rook e4. c6, yeah. c5. Explosion on the side of the black king. Knight g4. Look how beautiful the white pieces are placed. A rook e4, knight g4. King is so safe on h1, and the black king here on h7 permanently in big danger. Of course, the e5 pawn is falling next. Queen b4, queen a5, plus rook takes e5, knight takes e5. It is complete game over, so black resigns. Well, quite an interesting game actually, but I think black has missed many opportunities to be okay, and yeah, finally lost the game. Next game is Firuza against Elyanov. So Firuza, big favorite in every game except the game with Abdusattorov. This time with the white pieces against Elyanov, we have the move d4, and we have Nimzo. Sorry, not Nimzo, but a try to get the Nimzo, bishop b4. Instead, Elyanov with the queen's gambit. Let's see. Queen c2. So no e3, because this is the very main line to go for this endgame. And of course, with so many games here, difficult to say if this is better or it is just equal, but white is trying usually to push a little bit here. Instead, we have the move queen c2. Interesting. h6. All right. h6, bishop h4, and bishop e6. So as well, there is this setup with a move g6, which very playable, I believe, for black. We have h6, bishop e6. Also, this is very solid, and g5, knight h5. All is theory here, and yes, many games actually on this position. Some players think it is okay for black. Some players think maybe slightly worse for black, but knight f6, not sure. I'm not sure about the move knight to f6. Usually we try to play knight to b6, and in case it's possible, very fast, knight c8, knight to d6. So this is more typical to put the knight on b6. Now we have knight to f6, maybe still playable. Looks pretty equal. Looks like just an equal position. Maybe even black is slightly better, or I don't know. Hard to say, but I think black is doing okay. Hard to imagine that black is worse here. Rook g4, just defending the pawn, alright. Take, yeah. Rook g8. Good play by Ilyanov. Ilyanov is playing a very nice game, actually. And Rook g5. Interesting. Maybe black can just sacrifice, no? Because strong pressure on the g file. I don't know. Looks like a okay position for black. Of course, it is big fight and not so easy here. White is gonna cover the e file. There are some tricks with the move rook takes c6 somewhere. But on the other hand, if black is gonna take the pawn on g2, this is by far not easy. Yeah? So we have rook takes g2 as an idea. We have h3 like an idea, and just to be safe is also an idea. I don't know. I think black should have thought in the current position. So what do I want to do after the move to f3? Do I like to take on f4? In case I don't like to take on f4, I should be doing something else, because if I go away, h4 pawn is going to fall. So it was a moment for Ilyanov to decide. He decides just try to defend, but now white is doing slightly better. So we have this very good knight on f4, h5 is sort of weakness. Actually, Firuza outplays Ilyanov in more or less an equal position. Still very difficult to win this with the white pieces, because it doesn't feel like white is doing much better. White is doing a little better, but not much. And Ilyanov actually decides to give up on the h5 pawn. Interesting decision by black to sacrifice a pawn on h5. So black could have kept on waiting, actually, just moved there and back. Not so easy for white to improve the current position. So just to wait sometimes is not so bad. But instead, black is sacrificing the pawn, trying to get this very strong knight on c4. Is it enough compensation for Ilyanov? Let's see. I don't know. Looks dangerous for black. It looks very dangerous. Pawn down, white is pushing. Yeah, some rook and games might be a draw, but not so easy. So queen d3, strange, because I think there is a way maybe just to change here the queens. This is such an easy draw. e5, because a5 pawn is hanging. I don't know. It feels quite bad for black. I don't know. Why not to go for this position for Firuza? A little bit strange. Maybe he thought he's completely winning, but is it so? This is the question. Rook e4. The black king, pretty open, but how to get to the black king? g3. Very tactical battle, and I think currently just a complete draw. So it looks like a draw. Rook d4 or king a7. White to give up on the f7 pawn. No idea. Rook d7, just defend the pawn, and it is complete draw. Like draw. There is not even the slightest way of playing such positions for a win with the white pieces. So, of course, you can just keep on waiting here as well. White to play rook to d4. In case you want to give up on the f7 pawn, then it's the best just to play something like rook to f3, give up on the pawn f7, and usually to play like king a7 should be still a draw, but white to give up on the f7 pawn. There is no reason for that. Let's see. He gives up on the pawn f7. Still, it is a draw, obviously. It is complete draw. King a7. Why to play king a7? No idea what is going on in this game. So strange to play king to a7. Why not just to play king to a5, f7, king b4, I guess is dangerous. So king b6 to provoke f7, and now to put the king to a7, and this is just a draw, I think. There is no way to do something, because to play king b4 is usually dangerous because of the idea a5, and we can never take the pawn because of check. And then we have the move f8, and in case we do nothing, there is a6 coming next, so white is forcing black to take, and then rook to b8. That's why we have to play king a7, but white to play immediately the move king a7. White is not going to play f7 next, so a little dangerous to play here. King d2, so the idea of Firuza very simple, to get the king to e2 and to push f7 in a good moment and to win the game. Back. This is not a win. Strange. Looks like completely winning. In case of taking on, then king e3, f7 is like next. Why not to play the move? I don't know. No idea what is going on in this game, because strange play by both of the players. Still should be a win. And king e3 is looking very normal here. Only move is rook a6 to go like king f4 followed by king g5, and then to freeze the rook f7. Looks like to be a win. Maybe a rook to b6, attacking the pawn on b2, and here white has to find quite a difficult move with little time actually to play the move b3. Yeah. This might be a little difficult to play the move b3, because there is, for example, a check. So we go, let's say, king e5, take, rook c8, quite important, so I'm getting to the c5 pawn, and white is in time. Maybe not such an easy calculation, but Firuza usually is so well calculating, especially on little time. Firuza is doing very, very well in this kind of positions, but out of a winning position, probably now already quite big chances for a draw. And we have b6 move, very natural play by Ulyanov, because he wants to get out the king, but maybe b5 could have secured a draw. Let's double check if black is fast enough to play b4 followed by the move c3. Let's say king e5, protecting the pawn on f6, now the move b4 and rook c6. So black is not fast enough. This must be a win. But here maybe black can do something better. So let's try the move king to b7. So now we want to play the move b4 followed by c3. There is no more rook c6, not b6, rook c6. And this might be a draw. So not an easy choice. Yeah, this is a difficult choice to make with the black, to play the move b5, because usually to cut your own king is not the best decision, but it is just working. So the move b5 could lead just to a draw. Instead we have the move b6, and white might be in time. Let's see if white is in time. f7, so rook f6 is the threat. Take, and just in time. Yeah, white is just in time to win the game. There is no c2 because of king d3. All right, a very big fight, actually, very, very big fight with mistakes on both sides. Firuza has missed some wins. Ulyanov has missed some draws. Probably both players pretty nervous. Finally, white wins. So white been pushing the whole game, more or less deserved. But of course, for Ulyanov not to hold a rook endgame 3 versus 3, why to give up on the f7 pawn? No idea. Let's go with the next round. So let's go to the round number 5. What do we have here? We have Vitegov with a win against Shankland. Let's see. We have Caro-Kann with the move bishop d3. Not the most ambitious line. So knight c6, knight f6, old theory. Bishop g4 as well, e5. Yeah, a lot of games on this move e5. Before that, not so popular, but now very popular to play the move e5, h3, all is theory. Take, check, knight e2. Okay, maybe also king f1 is looking nice, because to get the rook to e1. I think not so bad. Not so bad to bring the rook to e1 as fast as we can. So king f1 deserves attention, but why for black to go for something like this? I don't understand why to play the move e5 in case you are not like super well prepared. In case we can play here some normal continuations, like let's say queen d7, maybe white is doing better, but this is so little better. It's very playable position for black. Yes, white is maybe doing a little better, but it's all that white can hope for. So why not to play something normal? We have this e5 move and h3, so very weird position, but I think it's a must know in case you go with black for something like that. And seems like Shankland is not really well prepared here. f3. Very strange position. I don't know. Maybe instead of f3, g5 deserves attention. So we want to grab the knight. Knight to g4 seems like one of the only ways to play this position, and maybe something like knight f3. I don't know, hard to say. Very dynamic position in case white is having enough time for bishop b5 long castle. White is better, but we have this knight takes f2, which has to be calculated all the time. Weird, just a weird position. It has to be analyzed. To play just like that, very difficult. f3, h5 of course, yeah. Now black is getting counterplay. Long castle, bishop h6. Strange move again by Shankland. Maybe a good play, but very, very strange. White to put the bishop to h6. Why not just to play like queen c7, bishop d6, which is much more natural. Just hold on the f4 pawn, and then we have rook e8 followed by rook to e3. White to play the move bishop h6. Such a bad bishop. So king b1. So white is hoping now with a better structure, and bishop on h6. White is hoping to get some play on the queen side. Knight to g3. Black is trying to equalize, but not sure if this is equal. Bishop f4, rook e1, knight to b3. Maybe it's equal, but just imagine all the pawn endgames are lost for black. d5 could be weak because we have the light square bishop. So in theory, black has to be very, very careful here. Slow play, c4. Well, immediately we see the move c4, because white could have enjoyed the current situation with moves like king a2 followed by rook to e2, rook e1. There's like no rush to play in a good moment the move c4. Another idea could be to change the bishop d3 versus the knight on c6 and to play this position for very, very long time. Instead of that, Mitigov plays c4 immediately. So, or it's a great decision, or it's a very bad decision for white, because maybe black is capable now of equalizing. Bishop f4, strange play. White to play bishop f4. No idea. No idea why to play the move bishop f4, because there are no threats. And knight c5 could be somewhere the idea of white. So black should cover the square c5 with a bishop. White to move the bishop. So much more normal looks like it is to move the rook to d8. So we put some extra pressure. The rook is doing not so much on the h file. Rook h2 is way too dangerous. The rook is out of the game, and white can defend very easily the pawn on g2 by, let's say, rook to e2 followed by rook to c2, or a rook to c2 followed by rook c1. I don't know what's better. So feels like rook to d8 looks very normal, and I believe position of black is fine. Instead we have bishop f4, rook c2, bishop d6 back. What? Very strange. Very strange play by Shankland, losing like a tempo or two tempos even. Maybe after bishop f4 he realized that knight c5 is a dangerous threat, but why to play bishop f4 in the first place? He missed something, but I really don't know what, because I don't see any tactics. So Shankland has missed some idea of white, but I have no idea what he wanted to do here with the black pieces. Maybe he wanted to go like rook to d8 or something. But okay, bishop on f4 still poor place for the bishop. So even if like queen a4, white to put the bishop here, there is d5, bishop is hanging in a lot of different situations. Doesn't look like a great plan to put the bishop there either, so no idea. Sometimes the best is just to admit your mistake, so this is what Shankland does, but now it's tricky. Look at that, big pressure here on the c file, and in case knight e7, white can just take the pawn, so there is no knight e7. Next move is bishop takes c6. And then we have these positions with knight versus bishop, and this is better for white. Pawn on g3, nicely placed, but just imagine we change everything and then we have the knight versus bishop. So on the queen side, white is like a pawn up, plus pawn g3 is beautiful but doing nothing. So this is very dangerous for black. Now black is doing bad, yeah, big pressure here. This is just a bad position, and also white, I believe, why white is not taking on c6. Takes, I think I can just take on e8, no? Take. Now if we take immediately on c1, there's rook takes d4, so first we play the move bishop b5, rook goes away, we take on c1. I think it's just a win. Looks winning. Two pieces versus rook. So the only chance of black is to get somehow to the g2 pawn as fast as possible. So rook h8, rook h2, and let's say, can we defend the move f4? The idea is that after rook h2 we play bishop f1, and here we can get the bishop to, sorry, f3. Maybe Vitigov has missed the move f4. Could it be? Possible, but also this after knight to e2 is looking better for white. Rook h2, taking on g3, knight on, I don't know where to put the knight actually. e4, e2, doesn't matter. So let's say knight e2 followed by f4, knight is protected, next is king c2, king d2. Should be winning. I don't know. Not 100%, but should be winning. Yeah. This should be a winning position. So I think white could have gone with the move bishop takes c6, getting quite big advantage. Instead we have the move rook h1. Just 5 minutes of thinking, so very fast play by Vitigov. He didn't like to take on c6. I don't know why. And f5, bishop d5. Okay, this position is still better, but is it much better? Queen e7. Not the best. Knight on e7, I think. Looking way better. So, or white is changing the queens. If white proceeds with a move knight to c5, which looks pretty normal. So, take. Now there's knight takes knight d7 check next. Problems on the c file, but we have king a8. White is doing better, of course, there is no doubt about it, but is it much better, or black has some hopes? I believe black should be able to get hopes here to save the game, because we have this rook c2. Rook c2 has to be moved somewhere. So where to move the rook? Let's say rook c3. Pretty normal. And I don't know what to do for black. We have a couple of options here. Okay, white is better, yeah. White is better. This knight d3 feels unpleasant. White is doing better, but maybe not much better. Yes, that's the point. That not much better, but better. Still, not looking like it's over. Instead, black is playing queen e7, knight c5. Now it looks like it is complete over. Bishop d5, knight c5. Every white piece is aiming for the black king on b8. Opposite color bishop positions are always very profitable for the side that is developing a mating attack. Now it is a position of Vitigov, so black is in trouble. Maybe it is more than trouble, it's just over. King a8. Well, in case black takes on a6, there is bishop c6, check on b3, next, game over. So king a8, knight to b4, but also that is looking like game over. Yeah, the game is done. The game is completely done. 2 rooks, plus there is rook h8 coming next. It is game over. Completely winning for white. Let's take a look if something exciting did happen. Doesn't look like that. Knight is falling. Yeah. Shankland keeps on fighting. Not the most exciting moment. And rook a8, yeah, just finishes the game. Shankland says enough is enough, because take, we have the check, and white is winning the queen. Okay, so nice game by Vitigov. Strange opening choice by Shankland with a move e5. e5 is not a bad move, but you have to know very precisely what to do after, because what Shankland did, he just got a slightly worse position. Then unlucky decision, this bishop f4, bishop d6, and finally lost the game. So yeah, very clean win by Vitigov. Let's go to the second game of the round 5. It is a game between Marora Jones against Firuza. Marora Jones made so far 2 forced draws with white, so Firuza is choosing some very rare line of Sicilian just to play on, basically. c5, a6, dangerous play with black, but he wants to play for a win, Firuza. He is aiming for a play. Will he get the chance? Let's see. So we have this line, but it is a better position for white. This is just a better position. Knight to d5, yeah, exactly. And this is why usually black is avoiding this kind of Sicilians, because knight d5 is strong, and black has to be very, very careful here to hold. This is already, I don't know if this is equal or white is better. To me it looks like a better position for white. Bishop e3, most solid. So Marora Jones continues with the strategy from the previous rounds, trying to be as solid as he can with the white pieces and then to suffer with the black pieces. Not the most exciting strategy, but well, yeah, half a point sometimes it's better than 0 points. So bishop e3, just trying to change as many pieces as possible. Queen e2, also very passive play. White to put the queen on e2, no idea. Still, position is just equal. Firuza is trying to get some play, but f4, yeah, f4. I also don't like the move f4. Still maybe okay for white, but white to play the move f4 in case, okay, you play for a draw, do something solid like rook to d2, and yeah, that's it. I think later just take on c5, play queen e3. It's gonna be more or less an equal endgame. Even maybe white can push here a little bit for a win, but 0 risk. Instead f4 is looking dangerous, because rook takes f4 and suddenly black pieces are getting out. So Firuza's strategy paid off. He will eventually get some winning chances, or is it still just a draw? Maybe this is just still a draw, but beautiful knight on g5. Just maybe it's not enough for black to create something. Bishop on g2 is holding the whole structure of white. So b4 and rook e5. White has to be careful. White has to be careful, but maybe it is just a draw. Let's see. Are there some chances for black? No, nothing. So changes of everything. Rook d7, and yeah, king h2. King h2 is the next move. h3 is going to fall, or if black takes, g7 is going to fall. So of course this is just a draw. So not the most exciting game. White tried to hold to a draw, finally manages, but yeah, not a great game. But yeah, Firuza tried to play for a win, but was not enough. Let's go with the next one. We have Mishra against McShane, who won in the previous round. So we have another game on the Spanish, this time the move d6. Quite a rare line of the Spanish, c3 and d4. Yeah, this is counted to be better for white. Very interesting. What is going to happen here? Why Mishra is missing the win, so he made the game ended in a draw. a5, yes. This is still theory, just better for white. White manages here to keep the center, so playable, but a little risky for black. b6. To sacrifice a pawn to play b6 is pretty normal still. White is just doing slightly better. Queen c8, very positional game once again. Bishop f6, I don't like it. Why to play this kind of bishop g5, bishop f6? Such a panic by Mishra once again. Also in the previous game, as you remember, in this French structures, he panicked. Now once again, bishop g5, bishop f6, there is no reason to do that with white. White can advance here in so many different ways. For example, moves like knight h2 are always useful because it's great to have the knight on h2. We prepare the idea of queen f3. We prepare the idea of knight g4 in the right moment. Even bishop g5 is making now more sense. So like an example, knight h2 is very, very playable. Why to give up on the dark square bishops? I don't understand this idea of white. Maybe white is still better, but why to do that? McShane, knight c4, knight a5. Very, very slow play. Let's see. Black just keeps on waiting, and Mishra is repeating the moves. No, he plays on. So Mishra does not repeat the moves. He plays on, but was it a wise decision to give up on the a4 pawn? I don't know. I think if you play on, just keep the a4 pawn alive. So you have to admit you made a mistake with the move queen to d2. Just go back. Try to keep the pawn alive. You cannot give up on the pawn. I think now only black might be able to play here for a win. Maybe it's still just a forced draw. No, but this is just a forced draw. Yeah. Okay, rook and game. Rook and game, just a draw. Also, rook d4, rook d7. Very strange play, but yeah, just a draw. Okay, not a very exciting game. White had a better play after the opening. I didn't like this Mishra's bishop g5, bishop f6. Maybe possible, but feels not the best. And then to give up on the a4 pawn. This is not the way to play for a win. He could have repeated the moves. Instead, he gives a4. It's not a play for a win. No, objectively, no way to play there for a win. Let's get to the next game of the round 5, and this is a game between Elyanov and Adams. We have the London system, so it's not only played on the club level tournaments as well. In the super tournament of London Chess Classics, we have the London system with the move c4, unusual way to play with the move c4 here. As I remember, the main move is here to play queen c7. The idea is very simple. We want to go like knight to d7 next. Change this good knight on e5, and then the most positions are pretty equal. c4, a bit unusual play. h4 is very good now. Yeah, h4, strong play by Elyanov, who uses move c4. As you can see, he spends like 0 time before playing the move h4. Now that the center is closed, h4 is making sense. White is getting ready for the push on the king side. Queen c7, h5 makes sense, h6, yes, g6, and knight to g4. Interesting decision, because more usual is just to take on c6, bishop f4, then we have this intermediate check on e7, queen takes, and to take on f4. Personally, I believe these positions are slightly better for white. But I might be wrong. This is only my opinion. Maybe somebody else thinks different. In my opinion, white is doing better because we have this very bad bishop on c8. Usually black is not in time to play knight d7, f6, e5. Takes too long. We're just gonna block with knight f3, queen e2, and the dark squares are gonna play some role somewhere. So in my opinion, it's slightly better for white. Quite pleasant. Instead, we have the move knight to g4, also very normal, but is it really better? Because b5 is fast as well. We have interesting options with playing the move e5 at the right moment, so I would prefer to have the pawn not on e3 but on f4. But maybe it is just my opinion, so somebody else might have a different one. This is very, very normal. Short castle and e5. Here we go, the move e5. Is it too early to move the e5? Maybe. Black could have played more solid f6, so we cover everything first and then focus on the move before. We might eventually choose still to play the move e5 in the future, but maybe we can play king f7. Both is possible, so we keep all the options alive. Still, e5 looks normal. Bishop f5, this I don't like. Strange move, bishop f5. Knight to f3, f6. No, rook e8 even. Wow, this is looking now just better for white. Yeah, black played quite poorly with the move e5 because white to allow white get such a monster knight on d4. Queen d7, what is going on? What is that? d5 pawn might just fall, and look how dangerous it is now for the king on g8 because of the pawn h6. So this position is very bad for black actually. Quite unpleasant. Maybe also to take on f5 is... Elyanov thought for 10 minutes, so he was also not sure, because white can just continue with simple moves as rook d1, rook d2, just double on the d file. We have the beautiful knight on d4, pressure, long-term pressure on the pawn d5, so also looking very good for white. Instead, he goes straight for the d5 pawn. It makes sense. Rook d4 also making sense because we have rook to d1, queen c2. He maybe missed the move queen c2, I don't know. Maybe it was better to be a little bit more cautious with the move rook to d2. So no tricks here with a queen c2. And the next move is rook d1, just a monster pressure on the pawn on d5. I believe the pawn is... you cannot hold the pawn forever. There are going to be as well bishop f3 in the right moment, so very bad position for black. I think this is like on the limit, maybe just lost. Very, very bad. Rook d4 and queen c2, so now some tactics are starting. Rook to d6. Let's see what Elyanov has missed. What he has missed actually here. Is it possible that he thought that he can take the pawn on d5, but there is this move king f8. Maybe he has missed the move king f8? Is there a chance? Maybe, but a bit too easy. So bishop f3, queen takes. Still looks like it should be very good for white. Rook d1, yeah, big pressure here. Still white is doing better. King f8 and bishop takes f7. Interesting. I don't know. Very, very complicated position, but it should be better for white. Bishop takes f7. Huge tactics out of nothing. We had a boring position, but now huge tactics. Rook d4, take queen f6. Yeah, it looks very good. So deadly threats. Queen c5. So in case we give a check, there is king to e7, yes, and no checkmate. Interesting. So the best white can do is just to repeat the moves now. Wow, Little bit lucky for Mickey Adams that there is nothing better for white than making a draw, or maybe to try to play like rook f4 first. But I don't know, to play position like that, is it a play for a win or is it just a draw? Because in case we take on h7, then maybe black can consolidate. So this is not a play for win, this might be a play for a loss. b4, b3, or the a pawn is walking, so too dangerous. Maybe something like f3 to have this rook e4 next, but I don't know, looks a bit strange because it's so dangerous. Once the a pawn is gonna start walking, black might even plan to sacrifice the queen, like for example rook e4, maybe even queen e4 is possible because the a pawn is so dangerous, and rook a8. Of course white is not risking to lose the position, but is it a win? Hard to say. So Ilyanov decides to play rook d7, just repeats the moves, and it's a draw. Yeah, that's pity for Ilyanov, he had a much better position. Adams a bit impatient with the move e5, and then much better play for white, and yeah, bad luck not to win the game. Okay, let's go with the next one. In the next game we have again Abdusattorov with a win, so he's winning and winning and winning. Unbelievable. This time he is crushing Teodoro. Let's see. c4. So he plays e4, d4, c4. It seems like Abdusattorov doesn't really care what is the move number one because everything is winning. Sideline e3. So it's like a reversed Sicilian, just a tempo up for white. Queen to b3, a5. Okay. Normal position, d6, a bit passive. Personally, I believe in these positions with black we might be able to play the move c6 followed by the move d5 to be more active. d6 a bit passive, bishop e2, knight c6, so we have long-term white with a bishop pair, still very close to equal. e4 is not good. This is, in my opinion, a positional mistake because these structures are just much better for white. Bishop pair, long term, b3, bishop on b2 followed by e4, f4, and the game is done. So very dangerous structure for white, for black I mean. Bishop pair for white, I think it's just better, so e4 is a mistake. Black should never play the move e4 in this kind of conditions. Just to stay safe is an option. So h6, knight e7, get the bishop to d7. So just a safe play. White is doing better. I don't think it is the right setup to choose initially, but in any case to play the move like e4, e4 is not looking good. This is a mistake by black. And Abdusattorov, b3, yeah, perfect. Of course, no change of a bishop, e4 and f4. Bishop d7. Interesting. So why not to try to change the bishop by playing bishop g4? I think with black it's very important to change the bishops as fast as possible. So bishop g4 is looking normal, and for white, maybe after bishop b2 he been worried that there is a move d5 now. Yeah, so he plays f4 against the move d5. Maybe he finds no better way to stop black from playing the move d5, so that's why we have f4, but bishop d7 way too passive. I think black should go bishop g4. There is no way. So bishop d7, f5, bishop g5 even. Yeah, this pin is nasty. Black is trying to get some counter play with the move b5 and rook d1. Why? Why to play rook to d1 with a white? Let's see what happens. So we take, black has to take, there is nothing better. So let's say we take, black, I don't know what to take, probably queen takes because this position, strong knight on e5, but is it enough compensation for such an open king? Not sure. I believe white should be doing better here, so to take with a queen is something more usual. And knight to d5, so queen g5, can we control the c file? Very, very important. So I don't know. Interesting position. Very difficult to say. I think with white, f6 is looking like an interesting try because we have this knight e7 somewhere. Looks quite active for white. On the other hand, great knight on e5. So maybe Abdusattorov thought there is no way to do something with a knight on e5. That's why it should be okay for black. Maybe so. He plays rook to d1. He is pushing on the d file, but now there is b4 for black. Yeah, the knight cannot go any longer to d5 because we didn't take on b5. I don't know. Now it looks like a crazy position. Who is doing better actually? Very difficult to say. So many tactical opportunities. Very bad knight on a4. Strong knight on e5. On the other hand, we have this pressure on the d6 pawn. So takes queen e7. Yes, strong move. Big pressure. Rook d1 takes, and rook d8. Yeah, makes sense. Rook to d8. Yeah, perfect. Because the knight queen combo is better than the combo of bishop and queen, and especially look at the bishop on e2. This is just a horrible bishop. Black is pawn down, but theoretically it's so easy to get the worst chances here with white. Rook d5. Yeah, good play. White should not change the rooks. h6. Bishop h4. Knight takes. Wow, what a sacrifice by Teodoro. He gives up on his queen. Why to give up on the queen? Of course, it's very, very interesting, but I think black could have done something else as well, because to give a full queen now, was it necessary? Not sure. It is very interesting, but I don't know. Risky play. Very risky play by black. On the other hand, yeah, why not? Very creative play to sacrifice a queen. Let's say a less creative player would have probably played something safe like king h7. Very, very safe move. I don't know what is the next move of white. Very difficult for white to improve the position when you have this kind of bishop on e2. I believe black is at least equal here. Maybe even better for black, so... knight takes d5, and now here we have a crazy position. Who is doing better? Take. Two knights versus and rook versus queen and bishop on knight e5. Of course, is a great knight. There is another knight c6, knight d4 idea coming next. Who is doing better? Luckily for white, there is the a pawn. Without the a pawn, of course, black would be doing better, I think. But now with the a pawn, I don't know. a5, of course, white has to push. Knight c6, queen a2. White is getting ready to get some big play on the a file. On the other hand, knight c6, knight e5. Great knights. Knight d4 immediately. Interesting. Why to push like that? He thought maybe there is a move b3 coming next, because black might have tried to play positional game. So let's say to play moves like f6, very useful to cover everything. In case of a6, with the idea a7 not dangerous, because we have the move rook a8, and then we're gonna take the pawn on a7. The knight on e5, the knight on c6, is it enough compensation? Maybe, I don't know. White might aim for something like bishop h5 and somewhere trying to get the bishop into the game. On the other hand, the idea of black knight to d4 followed by b3 is looking as well very dangerous. So crazy position. Very difficult to say who is actually doing better here. Bishop d1, avoiding the move b3. Knight to b5. Wow. Crazy play. What a move. Knight to b5. Bishop on b3. Yes, looks good, because to take on b5 there is just rook to d1, king f2, and probably something like c4. What a crazy position. White pawns are running, black pawns are running. No idea who is doing better. Like, so difficult to evaluate. Is it better for white or better for black? Probably it is better for white, because there's somewhere move like a6, but on the other hand b3, and again, who is doing better? Great knight on e5, holding everything together. Very, very complicated position. White has no reason to go for it, so we have the move bishop b3, knight on c3, so now black knight from c6 get to c3. It looks very ambitious. On the other hand, the a pawn will be walking. Queen f2, okay, knight on d3, queen d2, controlling everything, rook d4, and here we go, king f1. Why king f1? Why not to push the pawn? a6. What is happening after a6? No idea, because in case of knight to e5, can we just take on d4? Knight e2. Let's say, I don't know, let's go away. Knight d4, a7, knight to b3. So now we have this fight of two knights versus queen, but it should be winning. It should be winning. Just put queen to d5, f6. Yes, beautiful knights, but is it enough to hold to a draw? h3 with the idea of g4 somewhere, h4, g5. Should be winning for white. Maybe not so simple, but it is looking like a win. Instead, we have king f1, knight to e5, queen f4, f6. Suddenly, game is getting again out of control. Queen to e3. And rook takes e4, okay? Queen f2, crazy position. So Abdusattorov has missed basically quite a simple win, and now no idea what is going on here. Knight to d3, knight to g4, as well as simple knight c6 as possible as a continuation, just to stop the a-pawn from walking. So very unpredictable position. And black is actually, we're move 39, so just 2 minutes till move 40 for Teodoro. He has to play two moves. He plays the move knight to d3, and maybe this is a losing continuation, knight to d3. So let's check what would happen in case of knight to g4. Let's say queen takes c5 probably, because white has to activate. And is it not just a draw? We just take on h2. So let's say, I don't know, here, king g1 and knight to g4. So rook to e1 is a deadly threat. I think it's just a draw. If king f2, we just give a check on e2, so nothing changes. King to g3 is not possible. We have knight e4. Then we take on c5. So yeah, I think it's just a draw. So looks like black could have just played just played knight to g4 with a draw. Instead, move 39. It's so pity when you're missing just a couple of minutes to calculate the lines till the end. Just 2 minutes for Teodoro to take this difficult decision. So many options. This is a problem. If just knight g4 possible, then for sure you just play it because there's nothing else. But now with black, you're thinking about knight to c6, you think about knight to d3, you think about knight to g4, maybe as well you're considering some other options here. And just 2 minutes, so you're switching from one line to another, and finally you try to think about all the 4 options, and you make a mistake because you don't focus on one. This is a very typical case for most of the complex positions, that sometimes with a little time it's just better to focus on one particular line than trying to calculate all the 4 lines. So you just start by feeling, you say, all right, maybe my feeling is towards knight g4, so let me calculate knight g4. If this is a draw, or you see most probably this is a draw, you just play it. So you don't even think about knight to d3, knight to c6, because it's just so complex, and it's easy to go wrong. Teodoro plays the move knight to d3. Now queen d2, played by Abdusattorov. And actually, what to play next? There's a6, maybe he has missed the idea. Queen to d2. We have the move rook f4 been played, but now just queen takes f4 and a6. There is no way to stop the pawn. a7 and a8. Black continues, but okay, queen down. Yeah, queen down is not really fun to play. Bishop e8 followed by bishop g6 next. I don't know why Teodoro continues, but finally he resigns. The game is over. So a very interesting game by Teodoro, who pushed with black, sacrificed the queen. It was not a must to do that. First, Abdusattorov doing better out of opening, then missing a couple of chances, and suddenly position got a complete mess. And on the move 39, I think that Teodoro had a chance to hold it to a draw, but finally, as you can see, white is winning, so it seems like Abdusattorov is just always winning in the end of the London Chess Classics. Sometimes, yeah, you have some place, you have some tournament where things are working just your way. So great play so far by Abdusattorov. So this is the end of the round 5, and I'm gonna finish my stream right now. Thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow we are going to check on the next round, so we're gonna have the round 6, 7 and 8 of the London Chess Classics. I hope you enjoyed my commentaries. Otherwise, take a look. We had some live streams as well. Georgi made some great streams about endgames. Very, very educational. In case you like our streams, please like it, share it, tell your friends. That would be great. Otherwise, yeah, enjoy your own chess games. Thank you very much for watching, and maybe see you tomorrow. Thank you, and bye.